Hey everybody, Everett's Live Music. Giving a shout out today, the 30th of July, Sunday. Coming out of a heat wave here in the desert, in the Mojave. Oh man, it's been a couple weeks. Just brutal temperatures. Down in Arizona, the Sonoran Desert. Brutal. Breaking records and, tying records, whatever. Hottest month on the planet. Hello, knock, knock. Perhaps it's just the way it goes, but we know about global warming and all that being true and the things we can do perhaps to slow it down a little bit. Do our part. To not deny it. Kind of like the TV now with the UFOs, huh? Well, they finally come forward. We're not really sure yet. I would say to myself, I mention this stuff and talk about it a little bit. I hit back one of the news channels and said, give our people time, our government, and, they've had all the time they've needed up till now to tell us. But, give us time if we're going to come forward and people are going to be clear about stuff and start talking. Let's be respectful to that and give it its level of patience and understanding that for some of them they've came forward when they're not supposed to and stuff. So people have been pushing for us, and let's hope that's all true and real, and even us as people, when we find out, we see and we learn and we hear them talking about they're not sure about this. I mean, there's stuff we can do too to try and study and figure out what our ideas might be, because a lot of the time perhaps we're coming up with answers. I would hope we're properly rewarded, or maybe not like because I'm not a big one for the money that divides us, but we definitely, if that's where we're at, then you properly need to be rewarded in such manners and recognized for your thinking and your thoughts. I don't think I'm on the level for a scientist that's going to come up with an exact thing, but I mentioned electromagnetics after I said give them their time, and I said it might be perhaps something we're not all familiar with. You could go from electromagnetics into maybe it's hydrogen powered, seeing it's off the coast all the time and it's seen over the water, and then it comes inland and then maybe goes back. When the one was in the water almost, making the area and the little disturbance to the water below it, maybe it's hydrogen powered and it's refueling, or maybe not. But there's ideas and thoughts. In water we work with right down to the particles, man, coming together and going apart, being pulled together through the van der Waal principle. In atoms and particles, you're going to have an outer shell to it, and there's going to be the electrons cruising around, right? So there's going to be more than one here, and then in the next particle or atom, as you're trying to bring things together, there's going to be one more on one side and one more on one side and one less on the other side than they are. Through one way or another, there's other chemical reactions. It pulls it together. And then there's a zeta potential that pushes things apart. Different, right down to the particles and different stuff. There's to me, if it's a technology of an alien race or something, I would think if you're smart enough to get here, you have figured out some really different ways, man. You're well beyond a combustion motor. Because you're part of everything and everything's part of you and you're part of what everything is around you, you're going to use the science in a way that we have not yet begun to understand. So they're just going to be on that level up there, and it's time for us to start pulling together in different areas, and this is a good one. And whether they found this could be just another country. They mentioned that. I mentioned it in a previous one too, man. We can't jump to conclusions, and as a public, we have to be willing to understand and not show distrust and anger when we are told things. And if it ever is like a movement towards more of that, trying to expose and tell and be honest and truthful with one another more and more and more. We know, like one guy comments, that this would have been cool 30 years ago. And he's totally right, man. But we're always told, a lot of us, the public can't handle this and that. And I know. Not everybody's on the same level of intelligence, but there's also a way of life that we live that drives us through competition and keeps us apart at times. I would think that'd be, I've mentioned before, be part of our downfall. If an alien race does come, and they would be very cautious, I would think, if they found out our history and how we live and what we live for. I would think to one degree, it's not like we're totally every minute of the day hurting one another, but you got to look at it on a level of the timeline has to be different that you think about life. We don't think about just today and tomorrow. I know it's cool to live in the moment, and I express that too, but there's also a level of intelligence, understanding in your head that there's a lot more coming behind us, we hope, and we need to develop a sustainable way of life. You know, and if you don't have that, it would be really, if I went somewhere and I seen what they're doing, they fight a lot, they fight one another, they make all, you know, so I would think it'd be very cautious and it would study us. And yeah, I don't think we were going to have the technology to keep up with it yet, but let's see where this goes. If you have some ideas, I threw some out there, you know, throw something back, answer the call, let's talk, and it won't be everything for me all day long, every day that I think about. But I do appreciate this idea and this topic, and it's another one that it definitely has the potential of bringing us more together as a people and stuff, and understanding. And, you know, hey, peace.